gonna be honest, Tom Holland is not hot.
It's kind of like about finding yourself and like being who you really are.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Cinema Scoop. And in this episode, we're going to discuss movies that were originally books. And there are actually more than you might think, with around 50% of movies being based on books. So let's get right into it. And all right, Lexi, I do know that you're not too familiar with The Hobbit, right?
Yeah, but I know it's about a hobbit named, his name starts with a B, I knew that, but
yeah, okay.
And there's like dwarfs
you know what?
and...
I'll talk about that later, okay. So first, I want to talk about like the difference between books and movies as like mediums for storytelling. So both are fantastic, in my opinion.
Generally, the books are better because it has more detail and everything.
Yeah, I feel like
sometimes the movie doesn't have...
Oh yeah, in general,
yeah,
a book that's been turned into a movie, the book is usually better. And I say usually because it's not always. Take, for example, Jaws. A lot of people agree that the Jaws movie is much better than the Jaws books. And another thing about like how they're different is that movies are usually better at like visuals and sounds because like books can describe them. A movie could literally just show it to you and you could literally just see exactly what is meant to be shown. Right,
but I think, in my opinion, when you're reading a book, you get to like imagine it yourself.
I also really like that.
Instead of like
someone else imagining it for you, basically.
And being like, oh yeah, that character's this, but I imagine the character looking somewhat different than the actual.
Yeah, and also how like books, they can have like internal thought. Movies, I mean, they could do that with like a voiceover, but not for like the whole thing. For books, having like an internal monologue is much easier. And I think both are fantastic mediums for storytelling. I enjoy both very like pretty much the same. Now I'll go on to talking about The Hobbit. And The Hobbit, the thing is, it was one book and it was a children's book, so it wasn't that long. Stretched into like 8 hours or even more of film. So a lot was added, and it was honestly, it was heavily criticized for like some of these additions, such as like a character called Toriel, who was like added just to like for like a love interest for one of the dwarves, and like another character.
And wasn't even in the book, right?
No, she was not in the book. Yeah. Also, Alfred, he was like this like sleazy guy who was like corrupt, and he was kind of for comic relief, but like you have like 12 dwarves for comic relief. You don't need some random guy. So I kind of wish like instead of adding pointless things, they kind of expanded more on the dwarves, because if you don't know, like not many of the dwarves are really expanded upon in the books and the movies. So I wish they went a little more into that. However, I do like a lot of the additions, such as there's a character called Bard who like actually defeated Smaug, who's basically one of the main, like the whole reason for their quest. And in the book, he kind of just appears out of nowhere and kills Smaug, but in the movie, he has like a whole arc. I like that. Also, more action. That's really good. The books, I mean, I don't blame them because it was a children's book, but they skipped out on a lot of the action. They had Bilbo getting like knocked out in the final battle. And then like he misses the entire thing. However, in the film, he stays. He uses the ring to be invisible and sneak around. I really liked that addition, having him more involved. And sorry for like talking my head off right here, Lexi.
No, it's good. It's good.
Yeah, so we're gonna take a short break, but afterwards we're gonna talk about Lexi's choice.
Welcome back. Now I'm going to talk about my choice of a book. So I'm pretty sure all of you are familiar with Roald Dahl, right? Like he wrote Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah.
James and the Giant Peach.
Matilda, which you guys talked about. We talked about Matilda and
Witches.
Yeah.
BFG. Those are like the main 5 that everyone pretty knows much about. And have you watched the BFG? It was a live action that came
honestly
out like
not.
A couple years ago.
I don't think I've watched it in full. Maybe when it was on passing. I have read the book though, so I do know like the story and the plot.
Yeah, it's about like this girl who's in an orphanage named Sophie, and she sees one of the giants who tries to, because he has something to do with like dreams. He like makes dreams, and he blows a whole big horn, and it goes into like kids like through their ears, and he gives them nightmares or good dreams.
Yeah. Wait, why did he give them nightmares again?
I think it's because he knew sometimes maybe if like they were a bad person.
Oh, okay.
Or something, and he wanted like, like the flesh-eating giants that he's not friendly with.
They were his brothers, right? Were they his brothers?
I think they were his brothers. Yeah. He gave nightmares to them because they ate children, and he's as known as the big friendly giant, which is what the BFG stands for. So he didn't kill Sophie, but Sophie saw him, and he had to take her because he had no choice, because she would have said, "Oh my God, guys, there's a giant," and they might have gotten found.
I like how the place where the giants lived. Like I kind of like how we could just walk to it, but
it's like
no one knows where it is. It's kind of like a portal almost.
I think it was called Giant Country.
Giant Country, you're right.
Yeah.
And the thing was they basically they did walk there, but it was you had to take a specific route. You can't just go from anywhere in the world.
I remember when the Queen laid out the whole entire map of the United States or the world, and then he literally went off the map.
Yeah.
He's like, it's right there. It's not. It wasn't even on the map.
Yeah, they had to add it.
Right. And I think mostly the book was. This movie is pretty similar to the book, but the ending was a little different because in the book the Queen builds a house.
The Queen builds a house. Yeah.
To the castle for him, and the BFG becomes a celebrity to the kids.
Yeah.
And Sophie lives in a cottage next to him to improve his English skills.
Oh yeah.
English speaking.
That's nice how they had that dynamic of her teaching him English.
Right.
And kind of mutually benefiting, because he did save her from the flesh-eating giants.
Honestly, his English was not too bad. He actually knew a couple of words.
Yeah, that's true. Were the brother giants still locked away? Didn't they get put in a pit or something?
Yeah. So in the movie, the giants, Sophie went to the Queen of England, and wanted to, remove those giants or put them somewhere where they can't get to kids and eat them. So they the whole entire FBI or something. Went to Giant Country and got them all on planes and just put them all on a deserted island.
I don't think it's the FBI because I think it's in England, right?
Yeah, it was the soldiers, the military army.
Military.
Yeah.
Whatever you call it.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
And so then they were stranded on an island, and all they had to eat was snozcumber seeds, which is basically a cucumber, but it's disgusting.
Yeah. It
has green slime all over it.
And then what was the drink? It had the drink.
It was called Frobscottle, I think.
Frobscottle.
And it was said to taste really good.
Yeah.
And it had bubbles, but it wasn't going up; they were going down.
Oh, yeah, made them fart
Yeah, and so they made them,
it?
and then after someone drank it, they would fart green. Yeah. And in the movie, though, the ending was Sophie gets adopted by the Queen's secretary and never sees the BFG again, but since he has really big ears, he can sometimes hear her call out to him.
Oh, yeah. I guess I feel in more modern times, that would be the ending. But I kind of like how it's sweet how they just live together in a cottage in just the regular world.
Yeah.
In the book, I kind of wish they'd kept that.
Yeah.
Even though if it's a little cheesy, but it's from a children's book.
Yeah.
What can you do?
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay, that's all we have time for today. But don't worry, because we'll be back very soon.